Seoul is the 5th most populous city in the world and has some of the best street food in Asia. That being said, there are a number of cultural rules that might surprise you. Here's everything you need to know before going to Korea. Number 1. Drinking etiquette. There are a surprising number of drinking rules when it comes to Korea, but the main one is that if a glass is empty, you're obligated to fill it, especially if you're younger than the person you're drinking with. That means that things can get out of hand pretty quickly, so if you don't want to drink a lot, make sure you leave your glass half full. In addition to this, when someone is pouring a glass for you, make sure to always receive the glass with 2 hands to show respect. And again, if the person you're drinking with is older, when you sip from the glass, turn your head slightly away from them, as another sign of respect. You have to be careful when drinking in Korea because refusing a drink from someone basically means that you don't want to be friends with them, and they'll take it personally. Number 2. Using chopsticks. The most common mistake people make while using chopsticks in Asia is leaving them sticking upright in a bowl of rice. Now, this act is actually part of many Asian cultures' funeral ceremonies and should be avoided at all costs. Number 3. Seating in trains. Now, it may sound obvious to say not to sit in the reserved elderly seating, but in some cultures like America, you can take that seat if there are no elderly present, and then just get up and move if someone comes along. However, in Korea, that's absolutely not acceptable, and you'll likely be scolded if you do. That brings me to number 4. Don't talk on trains. In most Asian countries, showing respect to those around you is a big deal, and you'll notice that no one carries conversations on trains, let alone makes a phone call. This is seen as disrespectful to the personal space of others, so try to keep a low profile. Number 5. Don't leave a tip. While tipping in Korea isn't like tipping in Japan, where if you leave a tip it's actually considered insulting, tips aren't expected or required here. So if you do decide to tip, the amount is totally up to you.
I have no idea what half the stuff is. I like it.
Number 6. Don't be afraid to shout at your waiter. While it may seem rude in other countries, in Korea the way to get your waiter's attention is by yelling. The reason for this is that waiters in Korea will leave you alone for your meal, which means the only way to get their attention is to either yell at them or use one of the call buttons located on the side of your table in some restaurants. Number 7. Don't get into a fight. South Korea is one of the safest countries in the world, but their legal system is unfairly biased against international visitors and residents. If you get into any altercations with Koreans, it's best to just walk away, as the law is likely to side with the Korean nearly every time. Number 8. There's no such thing as personal space. Seoul has a population of over 25 million people, so if you hate crowds, this is going to be a tough one. Because of the sheer number of people here, being pushed or shoved isn't considered rude, and if anything, it's to be expected. So if you find yourself being shoved or elbowed in a subway, don't take it personally. Number 9. Don't write using red ink. Korean culture is very superstitious, and writing names in red ink is thought to mean that the person will die soon, or that you want them to die. This tradition goes back hundreds of years, when the names of the deceased were written in red on gravestones to ward off evil spirits. So next time you're writing a birthday card in Korea, maybe hold off on using red. Number 10. Don't receive things with one hand. In case you can't already tell, Korea is all about respect, and part of that comes from understanding how to give and receive things. In most Asian cultures, receiving things with one hand is considered insulting and rude. Receiving things with 2 hands shows respect to the person giving you something. That's why a lot of the times when you get change back from someone, even a cashier, they'll hold one arm out with the money, and then use their other arm to touch that arm to show their respect. So keep in mind, whenever receiving anything, always receive it with 2 hands, whether it be a drink, a bill, or any other kind of gift. Last but not least, number 11. Always share. Koreans have a special concept of sharing called jeon, and it's difficult to translate into English, but it basically means the connection between people in the society. If you don't share, you'll be seen as greedy, which means you have little or no jeong. And in order to travel in Korea, it's important to be aware of this aspect of their culture. And that's about it. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you. It really means a lot. Click the video on the top left to see what you should do while in Tokyo, Japan, and click the video on the bottom to see 11 things you should never do while in Dubai.